whispers old and winds unseen. The veil grows thin where shadows lean. Through Seidr's dance the fates align, a glimpse beyond in woven time. The spirits stir, the worlds draw near, a fleeting touch, both bright and clear. By ancient craft the veil is spun, between the realms where all is one. Hi guys, welcome to this week's video, and as you can tell from the beginning, this is going to be talking about the veil. What do I mean by the veil? Well, the veil is this protection between the worlds, between the 9 realms, that keep us from seeing things, hearing things, and being close to the spirit world. It's a protection between the living and the dead. But at the dark time of the year, that veil thins and allows us a time of understanding and seeing, feeling and hearing. For those that are susceptible to these, they will be able to feel it, see it, touch it. For those that are not, they will just live their normal lives. But for us witches, it's a time of excitement, because it's a time where we can feel within the depths of other worlds, other unseen things, and add it to our practice. So this is going to be basically about the feelings behind the veil. What sort of things happen when the veil is thin? So guys, what are some of the things that you might start to feel or see? Well, one of the main things is that your dreams may become a lot more visual, a lot more vibrant, a lot more realistic, and that you may perceive people like your ancestors, people in your family that have passed away. You might start to see them in your dreams, you might chat with them, or a message might be given. Another thing is that you will feel this feeling that you're not alone. Wherever you are in the home, you might be in a room doing something and suddenly feel like somebody's standing with you. And if you get these things, don't ignore it. Just say, whoever you are, and if it feels good, remember that guys, if it doesn't feel good, then you want to get rid of it. But if it feels okay, it could be one of your ancestors visiting. And so you need to say the things like, welcome friend or family or ancestor. This time of the year, I make you welcome. Light a candle and you'll feel it dissipate after a little while. You'll know then whether or not it was actually a good spirit or a bad one, because bad ones will hang around. They have this tendency to feel, what's the word? To feel that they want to stay. So the ones that are coming to see you are not going to want to stay. So that's one of the things. But with Seidr practice, our ancestors are honoured during this period more than normal, guys. Especially around Disablock, which is a festival that we do to honour the spirits and to seek their goodness, you know, their pleasure, give sacrifice and stuff like that. Disablock is a sort of festival that comes between Samhain and Yule. So it's sort of deep in the winter, and it would be for the Nordic people because the climate is very, very, very wintry there. In this country where I'm living, it's not so that way, but it does get darker. So we have it in a different way, and it's very wet. So you could go to the woods where it's going to be wet, the leaves are going to be wet, everything's wet. And you stand there, it's probably a bit chilly, and you just visualize what you think is there. You will feel the spirits, you will feel the energies spirits around there, and it will feel different to the summertime. Ritual would be for protection and guidance for the following year. So these things were done every year to keep the momentum going. And we know that as witches today, you all have an altar for your ancestors. And that would be so that you can spend time with them, seek them, meditate with them, and light candles to them. And protect yourselves in your homes, in your families. Because there will also be, at this time of the year, restless spirits. Those that could be classed as benevolent. We would class that today as people with unfinished business, but of course in them days, back then, they would have been known as the Draug. The Draug were people that had died in terrible circumstances, that did not really realise that they had passed on, and they would be classed as the undead, those that walk the earth with vengeance in their minds. So we don't want them sort of spirits around at this time of the year, guys. And of course, at this time of the year, it's brilliant for people like myself, a Seidr practitioner, because we use the thinning of the veil to enhance our already strong abilities. And so it allows us to then get messages a lot easier, and we can spend time to perform rituals of divination and go deep, very deep, and bring back the things that we need to help others with. So it's a really good time of the year for Seidr practitioners and many other forms of practice. But I would spend more time sitting in the quiet, listening and needing to hear. So it's pretty good time of the year for people like myself. And not only spirits, we can also get to the gods a lot easier. And so that brings us closer to the gods in our relationships with them. And it's a good time for them because it's easier for them to relate to us. So you might, as a witch or a practitioner of light, you might feel your deities around you a lot more this time of the year. Take the opportunity to link with them more and write down everything that you're given. And that will aid you for the following year. It might aid you in other people, because also at this time of year, we get messages a lot for people that we're walking in the street around. There could be somebody that needs help that you may not want to give the message to because you don't know how they're going to take it. But believe me, for example, if Odin gives me a message for someone, I know he's already put the groundwork in with that person. So I can quite willingly go over and, broach the subject to make sure that they're willing before you do anything. But then give that message, or do the thing that Odin's set for you to do. Because when Odin turns up, there's always something he wants you to do. With Freya, it's different. Freya brings love. She brings the energy of love as well as all the other things. And at this time of the year, it's a sort of nurturing feeling with her. So I like to spend time with her, just relaxing and having nice things around me, and not so much seeking her advice, but seeing if there's anything she wants to teach me and give me something to get my teeth into, to learn a bit more. And that is something that I do a lot with her. And of course, if you go back to the old days, a lot of people wanted to know their fate. They wanted to know answers from the Norse. And of course, they were also easier to get messages from at this time. So the runes would be thrown and the Norse would be sought, and messages would come through. They would want to know who was going to have a downfall or not, whether they were going to win, whether they were going to bring back enough things for their villages. They would also sort some of the gods for their journeys across the sea. Njord would be one of them because he protected them across water. So you can see how important this time of the year was for people that practiced Seidr. They were the ones, the Volvers, the ones that the people would go to seek their answers. This time of the year, some of the warriors would actually see Valkyries and omens, and that could be considered that would be their outcome. Again, nobody wanted to see the Valkyries before going into battle, because it meant that they had been numbered for collection, and nobody liked that thought. Some were happy about it because they knew they were going to go in battle and end up in Valhalla. So they would die, and they would be chosen for Valhalla or Folkvanga, which was Freya's place, the big field. So the Valkyries would be actually seen a lot more physically, and it could be quite a frightening time for the women, because they don't want to lose their menfolk, they don't want to lose their sons. And of course the women sometimes that didn't know they had the abilities that the Seidr practitioners had would get insight. They would have dreams, impending death dreams. Whether that was because they was worried about their loved ones going into battle, or whether it was the fact that they were psychic, that they had abilities and so perceived danger because they loved their other halves deeply. And of course you get that even today when people's sailors and soldiers go to war. The loved ones back here get an idea if something's happened, and it's a connection, that love between people. It connects them physically, spiritually, as well as mentally. The souls that didn't go to Valhalla or to Folkvanga, they went to Helheim, where the goddess Hel resides over them. And it's a place at this time of the year where the spirits or the souls would roam a lot more further than what they would normally. And so this is perceived by people at this time of the year because of the thinning of the veil. And that's when you get people doing Ouija boards or spirit boards and things like that as a joke, because they don't really understand just what is actually going on. They think it's all a joke. And that's when, you know, muggles and people that are not into what we do, and they come unstuck and they get things happen. And so the communication with the dead is a lot easier at this time of the year. And it's not just on, as they would call it, Halloween or All Souls Day or any of that. So Samhain, it's not just about the day itself. It's actually longer than that. It starts to thin in September and carries on. And of course, if you are psychic enough, you can feel it happening. It's almost like something is tearing, not in a painful way, but almost like, imagine a curtain. Imagine it's drawn tight and you want to get through it and you try to part it, but you can't. But then all of a sudden one day you start to go like that and it starts to open. Well, the veil is very much like that. You could walk through it rather than be stuck behind it. And of course it's the same on the other side, and so spirits can come through the veil. Another thing that happens at this time of the year is that magic is more potent, because you can tap in to the spiritual energies a lot easier. So practitioners like Seidr and other forms of magic, they will be able to grasp hold of those energies in abundance, and that makes your magic a lot more stronger. So you could contact spirits to aid you, to literally come through that veil, to aid you in a healing ritual, or to aid you in changing somebody's fate, which is a big thing because the norms are involved. Again, shape-shifting comes into this as well. And you may see things like animals that are not really animals, that are spirits that take the form of the animals. And you will note that there's a difference. They're not like normal animals. Something about the way they're acting, something the way they're staring, maybe looking at you because they know what you are. They're not all bad, the shapeshifters, but you still have to be wary. Now, getting on to other things like hearing sounds. It may be that you hear while you're outdoors in the woods, hoofs galloping. That's from the wild hunt, of Odin's wild hunt. Or a whisper in your ear with the wind. Or a voice speaking in the distance. Even cries of the dead. It can be very unnerving to those that don't like this sort of thing. But for those that are used to it, they just know that it's because they're hearing the echoes from the other side. But it's more perceivable because there's not a lot of veil there. So what we get from that is that the veil being thin alters so much, but it's more in the spiritual than the physical. Visions of fate were common at this time of the year via the practitioner of Seidr or the vulva. So in conclusion of this time of the year, it is a great time for practitioners of Seidr because they can go more inwards, they can use things more strongly, and they can use that energy and store it also. Like catch a falling star in a jar. It's similar. Open your jar, let the energies fall in, lock it in place. And then for the lighter times of the year, you've got stored energy from this time. Maybe all sorts of stuff in there, guys, you may have caught without realising. I thought it would be good to just go through one of my rituals that I do, which will aid you at this time of the year. And it is so simple. It really is. So we have 3 candles. I like to do that because of the desire, which are the spirits of females that come through and either give you good luck or bad. And that we have the Norse, which are the fate builders, the ones that give you your ending, your life and your beginning. So we do that to honour them. But what I normally do is just watch these candles and drum a slow beat. So you would go and relaxing your mind. You don't have to go into a trance. You don't have to go into anything. It's not about going on a path working. It's about being in the spirit, in the time that you are being given with all those energies that are actually around you at this time of the year. Now, the drum is an opening to the other world as well. It's magic because it's music, and music opens doors, opens the inner person, and your drum will be linked to you. So how much more you're opening yourself into the realm of the dead, into the realms of the gods, of the giants, of the shapeshifters, of the Norns, of the tree of Yggdrasil, of Freya, of Odin, of all. And as you drum, you can feel the energies building up. The candles might start to flicker to give you messages. You might hear spiritual voices, noises. You might see flashes of light. You need to be relaxed and let yourself absorb. This is all there is to it, guys. It's about giving yourself that time. And you don't have to do hours of it. Just 5 minutes or even a minute. By doing this every day towards, I'd say, Samhain, until that night when you can do a proper ritual. This is how I do it, just letting yourself absorb the energies, letting yourself, and you might start to see things, visions of the veil. It will come across like mist, like you're walking through mist, white mist. And you will feel okay, you will not feel scared. See that mist build up around you while you're doing this, and that will help you to connect. And that is all there is to it, guys. I just wanted to be able to share my practice, another part of my practice with you. And a lot of rituals don't need to be, you know, really hard to do, you know, with words that are spoken out. It comes from within. It comes from within us. If you haven't got a drum, you can use a rattle, a homemade rattle, just a jar with something in, you can shake it. There are so many ways you can use music. But at the end of the day, if you've got nothing like that and you're not musical, just yourself. Just stand in a darkened room maybe, looking at 3 candles and visualising the norns, visualising the thinning of the veil. Done regular, you will start to get things like dreams, and then you can set up your own ancestor altar. Now, I have an altar, and it's something that I will sit with now and again, light candles, burn some incense, not to ask for things, but just to be with them. And you'll be amazed, by not asking, they will come, and you will get things happen. And it's just another part of practice, which is lovely. It's a connection. You're not forgetting those that went before. And you one day will also be an ancestor. And others will light candles to you. So it's pretty good, isn't it? So there, I'm going to leave it, guys. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Press that button. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps the channel to get further. And for those that are always watching, thank you so much. And for those that have just subscribed, welcome and thank you. So, wherever you are, whatever time of day, night or evening it may be, I wish you the best ever. House of the Lane.